are things in this world we cannot explain, something hidden just beyond our view. Journey with us as we attempt to pierce the veil between our world and theirs. Join us as we pass through the doorway to the dead.
Join us at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
Welcome in, everyone. It is Thursday evening, August 5th, 8 p.m. I am Dave. We have no Jim. He had some personal errands to run, and this is Doorway to the Dead, your 2-hour interactive live show brought to you on the WLFE-DB network. Thank you to everyone who takes time out of their busy schedule to tune in. I'll be flying solo tonight, and I'm okay with that because I am super excited for our guest. She was the original victim of Michael Myers. Welcome in, Holly and Jerry. The original victim. So even though we're a paranormal show, I guess figuratively, she's been dead since 1978, and we got to meet her a few weeks back, and it was fantastic, and I couldn't wait to get her on the show. John McGinnis-Heddy, welcome in, and without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in Judith Myers herself, Miss Sandy Johnson. Hello, Sandy, welcome in.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, I couldn't wait. It was fantastic. We got to meet you a few weeks back at the Hoover House when you were in for the horror weekend in Waynesboro. And fascinating, of course, you played a character, the original victim in my favorite movie of all time. And it was great to meet you and your husband and sit down and listen to you guys, listen to you talk on your panel there. And the girls had a great time. It was just fantastic. So thank you again for taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule to spend a couple hours with us here.
Of course, you're welcome.
So, as I stated, the original victim, Judith Myers herself, 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween. And I know you and I talked about how that came about. You were, I believe you said you were just kind of doing some modeling at the time, and someone said, "Hey, this movie is casting in town. Why don't you go do a tryout? Can you kind of let everybody know how that fell into place?"
I was actually into acting all through school, as well as dance, choreography. And I had a modeling agent. I did a lot of clothes modeling and commercials, different things like that. And then I had done a couple of films. So I believe Playboy was my agency at that time, because I had also done Playboy. So they got a call about needing an actress for a movie with the working title of The Babysitter's Killer or something like that. And so I went to that interview, and I read several parts. I did some screaming, all the things they asked. I thanked them and left. And a couple days later, my agent called and said that I had been cast as Judith Myers.
Wow. And now you said you read for the other parts as well.
Right. I don't remember which ones, but they had me read lines from, I think, probably most of the ladies in it.
Okay. And I'm assuming when you left, you thought everything had gone well. Did you? Was there one role that you had preferred to get a call back for, or you were just excited to be involved in general?
I was just excited to be called back in general. I never saw the full script, so I really didn't know who was who. when I was reading lines, they were just names. So I was just glad to get a call back for one of them.
Okay. Okay. Um, and I know the movie had basically a shoestring budget because John wanted to do it as independent as possible. And from the research that I've done on the film itself, I knew there was basically wardrobe was your clothes. And I know that all the cars that were used basically belonged to either the cast or the crew. Um, so I mean, it must have been uh, an easier than normal filming, I would guess, because you're going in your own clothes. You're driving your own cars. So a lot of it was just kind of doing your thing, just somewhere else in front of a camera.
Well, it was kind of interesting because when I learned that years later that they were saying that we had all worn our own clothes, and I was looking at the clothes that I was wearing in the film, and I said, it's funny, I don't remember those clothes. So it turned out I mentioned that when all the cast was together, and Nancy Loomis said, "You don't remember the clothes because they were my clothes." And so I was actually wearing Annie's clothes for that rather than mine. I don't know why. Apparently she had something they really liked. But and also the station wagon was actually a rental.
Really? Okay. I was not
Mhm.
aware of that. I thought I knew it all. Look at me, learning something new every day. Fantastic. Um, Now, you said, and I know when you and I talked over that weekend you were in Waynesboro, you had stated that you didn't realize just how big it had gotten as far as the film until you said like 2018 when someone finally, as you put it, tracked you down to be guests and start doing these cons. Um, who among the cast were you able to keep in touch with, if anybody, in between the time you wrapped your shooting and when you finally started getting these calls to appear at these cons?
Actually, I hadn't stayed in contact with anyone because I had left California so long ago. So I had gone from California to Oregon and then back to Texas. And of course, I was a teacher and a number of other things in between. So I just came home to family and kind of left all of that behind. So my chance to catch up with everyone really wasn't until my first con, which was age 40.
Wow. Wow. Well, what was that like after 40 years seeing all those people that you knew back then? What was that like?
Wow. I mean, it was amazing. David Kyle, who played my boyfriend, he actually is kind of a hermit kind of guy. He doesn't really like crowds or cons, but he
Right.
actually did come to that one and sat at the table next to me and did signings because he just wanted to see me again. So that was fun. And then I had PJ, who's just adorable. I think she was on the other side. And yeah, we had a great time. We were all very busy, but when we would go back for photo ops, there was time in between the people to visit. So it was fun.
Well, that's cool. I know. Um, I almost had a chance, and the planning fell through at the last minute. But I almost had a chance to go out to to go when they did the 35 years and the big documentary film that they did on that. Um, and some of the things that's strange, like how do you hide palm trees when you're filming something that's supposed to be fall in Illinois and you're in California? Um, but I thought that little things that they did that they just pulled off so well, um, and how I guess they had moved the entire house, the entire quote unquote Myers house, at some point had gotten moved from where it was when you guys filmed to where it is now. At least that's what I had heard. Um, Personally, that's one of the things, everybody has this list of things they would do if they won the big lotto and made all these millions. First thing I'm doing is buying that place just so it never gets torn down, just so it's always there. Um,
Right.
and I know a lot of people um, who are part of these iconic films. Um, some of them will keep little things that they had just to remember. Was there anything that you used or had or came across during your time filming that you kept, like maybe a casting call list or something, like anything?
No, unfortunately not. I didn't realize at the time how much years later I would wish I had, but I did not. The only thing from my prior career that I had up until just a few months ago was my hat from Playboy, and that I
Oh,
sold
okay.
that at auction. But
Okay.
anyway, no, but I am making sure that the films that I'm about to do, I've already told them I'm getting keepsakes, so get prepared.
Excellent. Excellent. And I guess that leads me into my next question is, you know, after you do something like a Halloween that, again, I keep rehashing the same thing, but, you didn't even realize how big it was until, the past few years. Um, and you got out and you moved around and then you became a teacher and you did that for, I think you said more than 2 decades. And then you retired from that. What made you decide to go back into acting?
Well, it was a combination of things. It was my agent who brought me back to the fans and to the cons and got me excited to be around like minded people again. And then my fans started asking me, well, don't you want to make another movie? You should really make another movie. So at first I thought, "Nah, I don't know, I'm kind of old for that." And then the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what, that would still be really fun. And so that's kind of what it was. It was a combination of my agent taking me back there and then meeting up with other people in the industry and then social media and then all the fans requesting it. So all of that put together, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Well, I know for one, I'm glad you have. Um, and you had spoke on several of the upcoming projects you have coming up. Um, and again, it's very difficult. Excuse me, something stuck in my throat. It's very difficult for someone like myself who's never been in the industry to imagine going away for so long and then you're coming back and just it's almost like picking up where you left off, like riding a bike. Did you find it in any way difficult to jump back on that horse, or was it kind of like falling into old habit?
Well, the first thing I did was I found an agent, not an agent, a coach, an acting coach.
Okay.
And because we live rural and in Texas, I have one that is virtual. So I meet with him online. He's in Hollywood. And so that's the first thing I did was just start doing reading lines and practicing with him and doing recordings. I did several um, monologues that I could put up on my IMDb page and on Backstage and Access and some of those. So that kind of got me back in the mood. And then, I mean, I won't really know until I'm there. The one film that I've done so far is a cameo, and it was also done virtually.
Okay.
So I haven't had a chance really yet to get back on the set with live people and really do the lines and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome. Like I said, it boggles the mind how something that like that can be such a big part of your life and then basically go dormant for all those years, and then you know just when you least expect it, boom, there it is, and that flame is reignited, and it's kind of like how Jim and I were when we were in a rut with the paranormal. We had spent 10 plus years doing the same places over and over again, Gettysburg, Harper's Ferry, and Antietam, just because we didn't know about anything else. That's all we knew. It was closed, it was free, and after a while it got really, really stale. And as a matter of fact, I think it went about 2 or 3 months where we just stopped doing anything altogether. And then Jim had found this location in Ohio, just kind of out of nowhere. And, whatever, we'll go give it a shot. And we went and we met some great people. One of them's in the comments tonight, met my friend Mike Simpson. And, the other people that we met there, and things just started going crazy in this house. And, Jim and I kind of looked at each other, and without having to say anything, we're like, this is why we were doing it, and we've been hot and heavy ever since. So I understand that, that relighting of the flame, so to speak. Now, was that when you finished with Halloween, was that the last one you did before you just kind of stepped away, or was there anything after that you did and then just kind of took yourself out of that spotlight, so to speak?
I think Hots was the last one I did. I know I did one after Halloween, and I'm pretty sure it was Hots. And I didn't really intentionally take myself out of the scene. I had just lost both of my parents and at a very young age. And they both died of cancer, which is a terrible way to die and watch your parents die. So I think it was just depression. I just was kind of lost without them. I was close to both of them. So I think I just, I was fairly newlywed to my first husband, and I was just depressed. So we just went to Oregon and stayed there for a while, and that didn't end up working out. And so I left there and came back to Texas, and that's where I got my education and everything and met my second husband.
Right. And I can completely commiserate with you on that. As I told you, my father's had terminal cancer now for 5 years, over 5 years. And I just talked to him the other day. He said he's going to go back to work full time. I said, I don't know where you get it from. I don't, it's,
Wow.
Yeah, stubborn old man, but God love him. Basically his words were, I'm sure this cancer will kill me, but not until I say it's okay. So, he's got things he still wants to do. God bless him. When you met your husband that you're with now, how did that? I mean, obviously, I know you've done a lot to keep those two lives separate. We had to talk about the ringtone and that. How did that come about with him? Had he any inkling who you were before or any of that, or was it just kind of didn't matter?
No, he didn't know. It was actually a blind date.
Wow.
I was in an art class. I was in an art class, and a friend of mine was also in the art class, and I had been engaged to another guy, and he turned out to be a real jerk, and he treated my family very rudely on Thanksgiving one year, and I said, you know what? I don't think we're a good match. So bye-bye. Right. So I cared about him, but he wasn't a nice person, and I realized that. So I was in art class, and the friend that was in there, she says, you look kind of down. Is something wrong? And I said, well, I just broke up with my fiance. And she gets this huge smile on her face, and she says, oh my God, I'm so glad. And I said, why? And she says, because I have this guy I want you to meet. His name's Dan. I've been wanting you to meet him forever, but I knew you were engaged to somebody else. So that's where it started. It started with a blind date that came through a friend that thought we belonged together.
Wow. Little did she know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's wow, because I I've never done any statistical work on it, but I can't imagine the odds of blind dates turning into what you've got all these years later. So kudos to you two. Um, and I know Dan was fascinating. Him and I had some good times talking that weekend. He's a fascinating guy himself. Um, so when you were teaching, what exactly was Dan doing as a career when you finished schooling and became a teacher?
He was working for a convenience store he started out as like their video game and pinball game technician. So he was going from store to store, getting the money out of the games, fixing the games, cleaning the games, all of that stuff. And he did
Right.
that for several years. And then he was taking courses to be an HVAC repair guy, also for the convenience store. And then he was almost done with his degree doing that. And unfortunately, one of the professors had a heart attack and died.
Ooh.
So they asked him if he could do it temporarily. He was almost done. Did he think he could teach the beginning class temporarily? So we talked about it and said, well, okay. So he did it temporarily, and then they decided that they wanted to keep him as an instructor. So I don't know, that was 25, 30 years ago, and he's still doing it.
Wow. So he's
So he's
still
a
an
teacher.
HVAC instructor. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he
That's
teaches
cool because
advanced
you know what?
electricity.
Well, there's never going to be a shortage of people who want AC. So and heat in the winter. So
No,
that's job security right there. Um,
absolutely.
so now that you're back um, working in films, um, how is Dan with that? Is that something that he obviously you don't have a marriage as long as you guys have without that kind of support, but is he one of the let me kind of hang out on set and watch, or is he just you go do your thing and he sees you when you get home?
No, he's a definitely want to hang out and watch guy. He doesn't like to be away from me more than a few hours. So
Hey,
he definitely he goes to all the cons with me, and he will go to UK with me. So just about any film I'll make, I'm sure he'll be there if at all possible.
hey, I can't blame him. I know I'd love to hang out on set. Um, and I know you just came back last weekend, right? Was the big one in Chicago, correct?
It was.
And how was
Yeah,
that?
that was an amazing convention. It really was. It was so well run. It was extremely organized. Everything, it was a beautiful hotel. Everything was set up really nicely with lots of space, nice walkways, good lighting. Just, yeah, we were very impressed. There were so many people there. Everybody was really nice. And we just had a blast. We had the guy that found the station wagon that Nick Castle drove. He
Hmm.
he found that station wagon. It's been a couple of years ago, and he had it totally restored. Two years ago, he came to a con carrying the glove compartment cover and took it around, and we all signed it. So that was 2 years ago. It was just starting the restoration. So at Chicago, he brought the car. So we got to take pictures in it, and oh my God, it's beautiful. It is just
Wow.
beautifully restored. It's just amazing. Gorgeous, gorgeous car. So yeah, that was so having that there. Of course, the fans were excited. They also had the new pinball machine, the Halloween pinball machine,
Ooh.
which whoa, was it cool? There's even a Judith Meyer mode.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Videos, yeah. Yeah, it was very cool. I didn't have much time, but I did play it for a few minutes because I really like pinball. So
Excellent.
yeah, it was a great con. Met tons of people, got to see the cast again. sit in the car, sign more places in the car. So yeah,
Does it still
fun.
have
Definitely a good.
Does it still have the name on the door?
Yes.
Ooh. Oh, so he restored it to
Yep.
movie.
Yes. Yeah. It
Oh,
looks brand new. It's gorgeous. Inside and out.
That is awesome. That is awesome. What do you guys think about the new Halloweens that are coming out? We actually, obviously had the one a few years back, and now we've got another one coming out this year, and I think there's one more after that. What do you guys think about those?
The trailer, of course, is all any of us have seen. And I mean, I never even thought about the firemen coming right away. I mean, that never even crossed my mind until, whoa, there it was. And wow, what a scene. I mean, what a terrifying scene. So yeah, that was a shocker. And I mean, there was a huge body count, and it's just the trailer. So I can imagine that the movie, there are going to be a lot of people die, I think. But yeah, it looked good. I can't wait.
Now, when you do these cons and you get to see the cast from from your time, from your Halloween, do you guys just reminisce about those, or do you talk about the new ones that are coming out and the ones that have happened in between 4 or 5 and all these?
Usually at cons, we're really busy.
Right.
So there's not really a lot of time to talk. About the only time we really have to talk is when we're waiting for photo ops.
Okay.
So when we're waiting, like behind the curtain for the people before us to finish their photo ops before the Halloween people come in, then we usually talk. Some will kind of catch up, but there's really not a lot of time to visit.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know if maybe after the evening's events were done, you guys would all go out to dinner or something like that. Or if it's just so busy and so hectic and chaotic that it's kind of like, okay, we're done here. I'm going to bed.
Right. We did all go to, they had an after party on Saturday night where the VIPs, I guess, were invited to it. And
Right.
so a lot of the cast from the different films that were there went down and visited with the fans, the VIP fans, for an hour or two. So that was fun. But then again, we were mostly visiting with the fans more so maybe than each other.
Oh, okay. Well, but see, that's cool. That's cool because, a lot of, the big names out in Hollywood, um, I again, I can't say for sure because I don't know any of them, but I can't imagine that they take the time like you guys do to go out and talk to the fans and hang out with the fans and, you know, um, but you guys get it. You just get it. These are the people that are coming to see the movies. These are the people that are coming to pay for your autograph and take a picture with you because, you know, that's their thing. And it's very cool to see you guys understand that and appreciate it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I know that some celebrities are not really into the fans and sometimes even say unkind things about them. But I don't get that at all because I really love the fans. And as I tell them all the time, if it weren't for you, we would be nobody. It's you that make us somebody. So
Right.
yeah, no, I love it. I love talking to the fans. We visited with a bunch of them.
Now, when you were back in your youth and active in the films, um, was there any that you auditioned for and maybe didn't get? But I guess it's kind of a bad thing to ask somebody. But what is the one that you didn't get that you really wanted?
It's been so long ago, I don't even remember. Most of the time, I just, I went, I did my best. And when I walked out, I mean, that was that until I heard from my agent one way or the other. I tried not to get excited about things really, because I mean, there's so many people at interviews, so many people.
Oh, I'm sure
So
lines
yeah,
around the block.
I would go and hope for the best. And what's that?
I said lines around the block, I'm sure, for auditions.
Right. So you just go in, hope for the best, hope they like something about you and call you back.
And the one that really caught my attention from the weekend you were up in our neck of the woods that you were talking about was the guy he was cruelty to animals and that thing. Um, is that the one that you're really looking forward to now? Because I know you seem really excited about that one.
That's the one that I've already shot. I did the
Right.
virtual on and sent it to Hungary because they filmed it in Hungary. But I
Okay.
am very excited about it because I saw the prologue to it, which I thought was really good. So I'm assuming there's no reason why the continuation of the story shouldn't be equally as good or even better. I mean, the acting was great, cinematography, the script, it's going to be good. I'm pretty sure.
Very
So yeah,
cool.
that'll probably be the first one out. So I am looking forward to seeing that.
I am looking forward to seeing that as well. Because I know when I had the chance to sit and talk with Dan for a few minutes after you had mentioned that, you know, I told him, well, we have two dogs. One we got from the pound, and one was a rescue. So I can't imagine anybody with any kind of soul wanting purposely, accidents happen in this, but purposely hurting an animal. I can't understand what would go through the mindset of someone like that, which is one of the only things that I had a problem with Michael Myers because I remember he choked out that German Shepherd.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Yeah, I have no patience for people who abuse, well, anybody really, but especially children or animals or seniors. I mean, I just don't have patience for that. So if we're gonna do a movie where we do people in, let's have
Might
a
as well
good
do it the
reason.
bad
Let's get rid of
guys,
those
right?
people who, yeah, let's get rid of those people who think it's fun to hurt animals.
Ugh. Now, when you were on set for your time on Halloween, you got to be on set with the gentleman who played your boyfriend and the young boy who played young Michael. Um, and I believe you told me that uh, the only other cast member you kind of really ran into on a consistent basis was Jamie Lee Curtis, correct?
Right, right. That I remember. Again, I was never there when they were shooting the whole scenes with everybody, and I had
Right,
not seen the whole script, so I really didn't know the story. So I didn't
right.
really know
And
who
your
people
scenes were
were until
shot
we
at
were
the end,
editing.
correct?
Right. So there may very well have been other people from it there. I just didn't know them. So
Okay.
we were busy. So the ones you mentioned, I know were there.
Because I would be curious to know how Nick Castle was, if he was one of the guys who like to just stay in character and walk around in that mask the whole time he's on set, or if it was cut and off it came and here's Goofy Nick, or you know.
Right. Well, it was funny. He was just a friend of John Carpenter's, and he just said, "Can you come over and maybe help us out?" And so he said, "Sure." And then when he got over there, he said, "I don't even have the guy to wear a mask yet. Would you be willing to wear the mask?" So it was just a fluke deal.
Hey, some of the greatest things in the world have happened by accident, right? But
Absolutely.
I didn't even realize you were coming to stay with us until I think the week of, and I could not have prepared enough. So um, now I have seen, and I actually used it for the display for this when I was posting. You have pictures with Judith Myers' tombstone. How did that come about?
I have, well, let's see, I've had pictures with it a number of times. Of course, it is a replica, not the real thing. But
Right.
a lady named Jennifer with a company called Cemetery Haunts, she's on Instagram. She does these beautiful handmade tombstones. They're just fabulous. She's done a lot of them, different ones for different movies, but she's really talented. Well, I wanted one for a photo shoot, and she ended up sending me one for free, and the other one she gave me a very good price on.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I got them, and they're gorgeous, and I'm so proud to have them. So when we had them, then there was one that I got. Unfortunately, the mail was delayed, and hers were not in time, didn't arrive in time for my first photo shoot. So I had to
Okay.
use one that wasn't nearly as nice for my very first. I was very disappointed because hers were supposed to be there in plenty of time, and then they got caught up in the mail and lost or something. So anyway, my very first photo shoot has has a tombstone that is not hers, but the ones that we did after that are hers, and there's quite a difference. They're beautiful. So that's how I ended up. I flew it. No, let's see. I didn't take it to, when I went to the Myers house in North Carolina, I didn't take it. The one there that I'm photographed next to was made by Kenny's mother. Kenny owns the house, and his mother actually made that one that sits out in the front yard. So that's a separate one. And then I carry one of hers with me to cons sometimes to photograph next to it.
So there's an actual Myers house in North Carolina.
Yeah, there is. There is a replica that Kenny went to California, got the blueprints for that house, got copies of them, found an architect who was willing to build it. So there is a remarkable house in North Carolina that they give tours of the outside. He doesn't give tours of the inside because he had somebody steal something, which is really unfortunate. So he no longer lets people go inside. I know, isn't it awful?
There's
But in any
always
case,
one.
the outside is yeah, the outside is fabulous. It has the clotheslines and the whole deal. It's just great. And there's a big movie theater in the front yard so they can watch Halloween. And yeah, we had a wonderful time. I was there for about 3 days. I got to sleep in Judith Myers' room. I got to autograph the windowsill and the
Wow,
pantry.
that's cool.
It was fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so yeah, you can look it up. It's amazing. It's an amazing place, and you can go to events there. He has all kinds of events all over the place where he goes to the original location where a movie was shot, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever, and he shows the movie inside the location. A lot of times they stay the night. I mean, it's just really interesting what he does.
That's fantastic. I'm absolutely going to look that up. That's so cool. And I have family down in North
Yeah,
Carolina,
and
so I'm
he's a cool
curious
guy.
just how far away he is. Do you?
Yeah, it's just if you look it up on Instagram or something, it's just Myers House NC for North Carolina.
Okay, I'm absolutely going to check that out. Um, do you enjoy watching horror movies, or are you just like making them?
No, I enjoy watching them. In fact, we're going to watch another one tonight. We watch them a lot.
Oh,
My
what's
I realized recently. Go ahead.
no, finish your sentence. Okay, absolutely.
I realized recently a lot of times podcasters ask me how I came to love horror. And I used to say, oh, I just hung out with my girlfriends. We had slumber parties and stuff, and we would watch them. And that's true. But I realized recently that that wasn't where it started. It started when I was a little girl, probably 6 years old or something. My dad took my sister and I, we were visiting Oklahoma, and he took us to the drive-in movie to see The Blob. And it was pouring rain, thunder, and lightning. It was a horrible storm. I was scared to death. I was down in the back seat, but I was still peeking over to watch The Blob. And then the next, I remember that. And then he took me to see, I was older for this one, probably, I don't know, 11. He took me to see Whatever Happened to Baby Jane with
yeah.
Joan Crawford and what was the other one? Betty Davis.
Betty
Oh
Davis.
my God, that movie scarred me for life. And so I think that's where it came from. My dad, and he's not the kind of person that I think that's why I didn't associate it with him, because he's very conservative. He was from Oklahoma. I mean, he was a butcher at Safeway, just a normal, conservative, strict guy. And then I start thinking, I said, heck, it was my dad taking me to all these horror movies.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that's how it started.
I know mine started young as well. I think I was, let me see, the first time I went to a drive-in, I was 5 and we saw Star Wars. The second time I went, I was 6. And I have family that live down in the boonies of Virginia. When I say boonies, I mean so dark that deer jump across and run into the trailer because it's so dark even the deer couldn't see. Boonies. And we went to a drive-in double feature. The first movie was called Gates of Hell, and the second one was called Dr. Butcher, MD. And for me, it wasn't even the story or for me, it was even back then, I guess, special effects, the Tom Savinis of the world, the Stan Winstons, who can make you believe someone just got their throat cut or a hand taken off, these types of things. That really hooked me. And I knew I'm not going to see that kind of stuff unless I'm watching science fiction or horror. So the horror just kind of took over, and then of course I saw Halloween, and I know I told you this, but it offends me when people call that a slasher film. I'm like, it's not a slasher film. It's a thriller. Slashers have blood all over the place. And this, I think, let me see. When he slices her arm, there's blood. And I think there's one other spot, but I can't remember it when there's blood.
There's blood. There's blood when he kills me.
That's it. Yes. And I'm like, other than that, it's shadows and camera angles and fear of the unknown. That's thriller. That is not slasher,
Yeah,
But
I agree.
people are going to say what they say. So I know that's what spurred me along. Well, again, started with the special effects. Tom Savini is just a genius. And I don't know if you caught it, but they did a documentary about him. And he said a lot of the ideas he got was from being a photographer over in Vietnam and things he saw over there. So that's where he got a lot of his inspiration from, which I guess in a good way is cathartic, that you're taking that kind of visual trauma and turning it around into something, that is cathartic for him and great for people like us,
Right.
So
yeah, I just worked with Michael Burnett, who is a special effects artist. He's been up for Emmys and different things, but he just did a live cast of me for the other one of the other films I'm going to do, The Executioner. So that was an interesting process. Yeah, to be from here up with this big cast on your head with nothing but 2 holes in your nose to breathe out of.
Did they have the straws for you?
He did not have the straws. He said, you probably don't really need the straws. And I didn't. I was fine. if he hadn't been a professional, I might have asked for the straws, but he was very good. But I just
cool.
remember thinking that I was sitting there. I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, I couldn't talk. I just kept thinking, I hope there's not a fire.
Right, and I know you had said something to the effect of you're getting to see you're hearing these other people eat, and you can't do it because you're in this big thing, and you couldn't do it before because they didn't want you to have to go to the restroom while you're in this big thing. Oh, and what is that? Several hours, right?
Yes, it was 2 hours. He started with a skull cap, and then he had like 4 different big jars of different types of silicone or something. I don't know. They were all different colors, and they all had different consistencies and hardening rates or pliability or whatever. So he started out the one that was skin safe. That's the one he coated with and put in my mouth and my ears and all of that stuff.
Oh,
And then once that started to dry, then he started like layer after layer. And then when I had like 4 different colors, or I don't know, a bunch of colors of layers, then he let it dry a little bit. And then he started wrapping it with like the cast material if you broke your arm or something. And the whole time he's doing this, I'm feeling my head start working its way down into my neck because it's getting really heavy. And so,
right.
and I was sitting on stacked chairs because there was no place else for me to sit that was tall enough for him to do me, and that was not real comfortable. So between my legs dangling and my neck feeling like it was getting compressed, it was very interesting. So and then whenever he was all done, he says, "You're going to have to sit there for a while because it has to dry." So I said, "Okay." So finally he said, "Okay, it's dry. What you need to do is breathe out of your mouth into the cast on the inside." So that's what I did. And it was the strangest feeling because when I did that, it broke the vacuum and I could just feel this thing peeling itself away from my face, which was just weird. But anyway,
Wow.
I was very happy to get that off.
I'm
But
sure.
I will be really happy to see what it looks like when he's done with it because he's really good and I know it's going to be cool.
Very cool. And Amy Kubishin put this on there. Wow, Sandy looks great. Halloween was one of my first watch horror movies, and to this day we'll watch over and over. My oldest daughter is 21, and Michael Myers is one of the only things she's scared of. Very cool to see her here.
Thank you.
Let's see.
I'm scared of Michael Myers.
Normal show. What's that?
I'm scared of Michael Myers too.
I don't know. I think now, knowing what you know, I think you'd give him a run. I think you'd give him a run. You could say, "Look at the way I've died in all these other films. That's nothing." But that's the thing.
Say, Nick, take that thing off.
Right, exactly. Nick, get out of here with that nonsense. But that's the thing is, even though we're normally a paranormal show, for some reason, horror seems to fit right in, you know? And I know that there's been stages of it. You know, you had your thrillers like Halloween. You had in the 50s, everything was Cold War and communism. So you had your metaphor flicks with your outer space creatures and all this type of thing, your science fiction. And then, you know, the 70s came and that was the grindhouse, just splatter gore films, which then gave birth to the slasher genre with the Friday the 13th. And even though it's considered a slasher film, I do think the premise and the story of Nightmare on Elm Street was very well done by Wes Craven. You know, especially coming from The Last House on the Left, that, if I'm not mistaken, actually some places they wouldn't show it because it was just so gritty and real, you know. So where do you think Halloween fits in? You know, again, like I just said, you know, I don't consider it a slasher. I consider it a thriller. Where do you think it fits in among these different genres?
Hmm. Well, to me, it's kind of a psychological thriller. A lot of it is it just messes with your head. It messes with mine.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like a Hitchcock. It's kind of in the Hitchcock lane. The You just never quite know where it's going to go, or what's going to happen next, and it's full of surprises, like where Michael just sits back up from behind the couch before you realize that he's going to do that a lot. But
Yeah.
that's one of the first times he does that. So it's just,
Yeah.
you just don't know where, what he's going to do and where they're going to get you, and you're out in the launder room, and you don't know. I mean, is Michael going to kill her? Is he not going to kill her? It's just there's no absolutes about it, like there usually is. You just don't know. So it's kind of that mystery thriller with a psychological scariness.
Yeah, it keeps you on the edge of your seat just because is it going to be here? Oh no, it didn't have. Oh wait, maybe it's here. It keeps you on the edge of the seat because you know it's coming, but you don't know when or how. And so you don't want to sit back and relax in your seat because the minute you do, oh, there it was, you know. And I think John was so fantastic at that. Um, Between obviously Halloween being my favorite, but you know the way he had the fog, um, Assault on Precinct 13, I thought was fantastic. The reimaging of the thing, um, which is funny because it wasn't, but maybe 4 months ago, my father-in-law and Jim, sat down and watched the original, the thing from outer space with Desi Arnaz as the thing, you know, and I'm like, you know, it's different, but it's really not. Um, and I know John has. I call him John like he's my buddy or something, but I feel like I know him so well. Um, he's got this group of actors that he just really meshes well with, and I think Kurt Russell is one of them. And he's used him in several of the films. Obviously, Jamie Lee. Um, but as brilliant as I think John is, I think a lot of it behind the scenes had to do with Deborah Hill and the influence that she had in their relationship together, how well they worked. Almost kind of a finish my sentence type of thing, you know?
Right. Yeah, they definitely worked together on My Scene in Halloween. They played Michael and Judith on a lot, and also the boyfriend and Judith, when they were demonstrating how they wanted those scenes to look, and the feel, and the where they how they want it staged and everything. So yeah, they definitely were very good together.
Now, whose idea was it to not have that little boy with the knife and to use Deborah? Was that her idea?
I don't know for sure, but I would suspect that it was her idea, because a lot of people might not have liked that. Plus, they didn't know what effect that might have on such a little child, acting like they
Right.
were stabbing, somebody. So I would be pretty sure it was probably her.
And did you get
And
to
she had such little tiny hands.
oh, she did. Yeah. Yeah, famously tiny hands. Yes. Um Speaking of that little boy, did you get to interact with him any off camera and just kind of you know, I guess like actors would do, go over the scene, um, you know, where are you going to be? So I know not to look out that window type of deal or anything like that.
No, I don't remember him. he wasn't in my trailer for obvious reasons because I was coming in and getting bathed and stuff.
Right.
So I think he was probably in a different area. So I didn't, and we were so busy. And since he and I never were really in the same scene, there was really no reason for us to be together. So most of my time was spent with the camera crew and the boyfriend and the directors, just to get all of that going and try and get it all done in one day.
Okay. Oh, so you shot your entire thing in one day, huh?
Yes, we did.
Well, that's good.
We did a lot of practice, but only 2 takes.
There you go. There you go. Saving film. Look at that. And I'm sure that on that shoestring budget, that was much appreciated.
Yeah, I'll bet.
All right. Well, if you can hang out for just a minute, we got to run our mid-show commercial. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back on the other side with more Sandy Johnson. So everybody, please hang out and stay tuned.
WLFE Digital Network is now on digital television. If you're into ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, and the creepy, then WLFE has a TV channel for you, Paranormal View. Watch all of your favorite WLFE video talk shows on one channel. Shows like Paratalk Radio, Step Into the Paranormal, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, and more. Looking for something else? Do you support the LGBTQ plus community? WLFE has brought all of their LGBTQ shows like Inside the Drag Closet, Everything Yet Nothing, Across the Pond, and Rainbow Soul all into one place. A new TV channel called LGBTQ Friends. The third channel is Variety Unlimited. Here you'll find a wide variety of talk shows you know and love, like Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Real Talk with Dom, The Bipolar DM, Meet the Author, and Movie Review 5. The best part of watching these shows is that they're all available to watch at one location, one website, WLFE-DB.com.
You are listening to WLFE-DBRadio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Listen to the WLFE-DB podcast, available on Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Check out shows like Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and Step Into the Paranormal. Now, on to your favorite podcast app.
This is Dominic Santasero with Real Talk with Dom. You are listening to WLFE-DBRadio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Brie, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Oh yeah, life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
All right, and we're back. Thank you for your patience. That's the mid-show commercial for the network, which we are so glad that we switched over to. no disrespect to the former network we were on. They were great to us, but there's a lot more opportunity and a lot more things we can do here. So during the break, I actually penned down a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you rather than winging it. So what horror movie can you and Dan sit down together and just watch over and over?
Well, Halloween we have watched over and over, so that would definitely be one of them, and I'm sure we will continue to watch it over and over as long as we're alive. Halloween 2, Halloween 2018, we can watch all of those. We like Scream. Let's see, I like The Shining. I could probably watch that more than he could. Yeah, we're still, there was one, The Train to Busan. I'm not sure how you say it. It's Japanese, yes. I guess. But that's a really good one. We both enjoyed that and could definitely watch it again.
It's, at least for me, a lot of the newer stuff, well, I can't say all of them, but there was a period there where it just seemed like, let's see just how gruesome we can make it. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes I think the story and the quote unquote the movie itself lacked because of it. I guess what they classified as these torture porn films and things like that. But I mean, they're entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I'll watch them because I'm just sick like that. But at the same time, I do kind of pick them apart a little bit and say, this person's already dying. What is the purpose of adding this and this? I don't know. Obviously, I'm never gonna have a movie that I want to watch more than I want to watch Halloween. And Halloween 2, honestly, I thought was right up there with like Godfather 2 is one of the sequels to an original that was almost, if not as good as the original. Normally the sequels are always worse. Right. I thought Halloween 2 was fantastic. And I know it was a different Michael, Nick wasn't playing him in that one. That was Dick Warlock. But again, and I know that John had a vision where every year or so they'd make a new Halloween and each of them was a different story, which is why the third one they came out with was that Season of the Witch. That's like what he had envisioned. But I'm from what I've read was basically once word of mouth got out around the original Halloween and it just exploded the way it did, the studios were just like, yeah, sequel right away. So, I can understand their side of it, but I still think it would have been great if John had had his way and just had a whole series of Halloweens that all had a different theme to them like that. And 3, a lot of people panned it because it didn't have Michael. And I'm not going to lie, in my younger years, so why would you name a movie Halloween that doesn't have Michael in it? But when you go back and actually watch it for it being its own film, it was fantastic. It really was. So I like it. Okay. If you could have a part in an upcoming horror film, horror or otherwise, what would it be?
Well, I would really like to be in Halloween Ends.
There you go.
Or one of the future Screams. Those are all good.
Hey, Danny McBride, you're probably not watching, but if you are, Halloween Ends right here. Halloween Ends. Tie it all back to the beginning with the original. I mean, do you enjoy horror more than other genres? Or, I mean, obviously you would, that's your baby, so to speak. But I mean, are you into action films? Or are you into comedies? You know, or is it just horror and that's it? And I don't have time for anything else.
No, I like a lot of different kinds of movies. I like comedy. I like love stories. I like action. I love forensic science stuff. My background is in science, so I really like things that include science in them, even if it's stretched a little. So yeah, I like a lot of different types of films.
Now, isn't it great when they can combine the two? I don't know if you've seen it, but Event Horizon with Sam Neill, they take the science fiction and they merge it with horror, and it's fantastic. Fantastic. I would highly advise you to check
Cool.
that one out. It's called Event Horizon. It's very cool.
Yeah,
I was thinking
Horizon.
about,
Okay.
yes, I was thinking, oh, it's got, I think it's got Lawrence Fishburne in it too. I was thinking about some of the off name, you know, not, they weren't what you would call, they weren't these blockbuster series like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, but they were 80s horror movies that I remember seeing and loving. One of them was called Madman, which scared the dickens out of me when I was a kid. But it was so well made and had one of the more original deaths I've ever seen. And then there was one called Mother's Day, which was really good. Now, looking back at some of the horror movies from your younger years that you loved, say in your teens and into 20s, excluding Halloween, obviously, would you ever want to be a part of a remake of one of those?
Of the ones that were not big films, they were just the off films. So what you're asking?
Any film
Or
that
the
you
big
grew up
films.
loving.
Any of them. I don't know about being in them, but I remember there was a movie called The Day the Earth Stood Still,
Yes.
and it was a science fiction. As a
Right.
kid, I really liked that. I don't know exactly why, but I remember loving it. And then there was The Last Man on Earth, one of the first zombie
I
kind of
remember that,
films.
but I've not seen it.
Yeah,
and
that
they
was a good one. Those were two that I remember really liking as a kid.
now they did do a remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still. It had Keanu Reeves in it, and it wasn't half
Really?
bad. Yeah,
Huh.
it wasn't half bad.
Cool.
And it wasn't half good either, but it wasn't half bad. Unfortunately, unfortunately nowadays I see a lot of remake, rehash, same thing over and over again. You know, how many different camps can you go to and get killed by a psychopath in the woods, you know? Which is
Right.
one of the reasons I think Scream did so well, because it was a new take on it, and it took the
Right.
horror theme and embraced it, and it made it part of the film, if you know what I mean. And I thought that was genius by Wes Craven. Do you should I say do you or have you or do you want to pen a script for a horror movie?
I don't know. I mean, I've done writing, but right now I'm not interested. Right now, I just want to act. But I could see an interest in being involved with the making of film in one way or another.
Okay. Like maybe just behind the camera directing or something like that.
Uh-huh. Yep, I
Okay.
could see that.
Okay.
I also love wardrobe. I'm a seamstress, so I like fashion and wardrobe, and I used to do miniatures, so I would love to be involved with props or costuming or those sorts of things too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Like you said, miniatures. I know for a long time that was the go-to staple for some of the stop animation films and things like that. So, um,
That's true.
so, so, wow. So if okay, so I guess on set, if you weren't acting, you want to be in the costume and prop department then, huh?
Yes, I would like that.
Oh, hey. Um, it's very strange when you have something built in your mind about someone who you do not know, and then you find these types of things out. Like, you know, the it's to me as an observer on the outside looking in, I'm thinking, how can you not know how big Halloween was for all those years? But then I get to talk to you and get to know you a little bit, and I understand you left that and you moved on to a different part of your life, and it became going to school and then becoming a teacher, and that became what you focused on, and you just, I guess it just didn't cross your mind to check. And of course, for a lot of those years there was no internet, so you didn't have IMDb to be like, wow, I am really popular. Look at this. So it stuff like that just fascinates me. How, I don't know, especially when you see 99% of today's youth, this is all they're doing, and they're talking to you. They're talking to you, but the whole time they're talking to you, they don't look. They're here, and I got to check Facebook and make sure I didn't miss something, and I've got to check how many followers I have on Twitter and that type of thing. Everything is an instant gratification now, and I find it inspirational and very refreshing to find somebody who was part of something so big, and yet, and I hate to, I hesitate to use the term walk away, because I don't, obviously that wasn't the case, but in a sense, walk away and just move on to the next part of their life and leave that where it was. It's a lot of people these days just couldn't do it. So I commend you for that. All those years that you were gone and you were doing your thing with teaching and that type of thing, did you keep track of anything, like, what's John's next movie looking like? Let me see the previews for that, or was it just, I've moved on and I'm here now?
No, in fact, I had almost no time to read anything other than education related stuff, or to watch anything other than education related stuff. So I really totally left mostly any form of entertainment behind. I was just basically a learning teaching machine.
Right.
I was teaching special needs kids, so I had to learn all about them, and I was hands-on science, which was a new type of teaching, so I was developing that and writing curriculum. So I really didn't have time to go to movies or really do anything fun. It was just, I mean, I enjoyed teaching. That was my fun, I guess, and I loved being with the kids and stuff. But it was a very intense time in my life where I really did not have time for other things. So no, I didn't go see movies. I mean, I just had 20 years there where I really was extremely focused on education.
Now, did you find it in any way difficult to keep that part of your life away from your kids and your classes that you were teaching? Or did you ever seem to have that one that came out and was kind of like, I know who you were?
No, they never knew. And I never really, it was never on my mind to think about the connection. And because I didn't know Halloween was a big film or anything, it never crossed my mind that they might have even seen it. So
Right.
I would have been shocked, I think, if one of them had come up to me and said that.
Yeah, I can see where you're going to hand out this week's quiz, and you look, there's little Johnny in the front row going, I know who you were. I saw it. Yeah, I can imagine that would be a most uncomfortable situation for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dan was saying, you kept that, again, not just the children in your class, but your friends as well. You kind of locked that up in the closet, so to speak. Did it bother you at all to have to do that? Like, we're all friends. I'd like to be able to tell them, hey, look, this was me. This is what I used to do before I moved on to this part of my life. Or was it really wasn't something that just came about?
Right. I mean, I have a lot of different friends, and our friendships have developed for different reasons. I mean, some of them might have been from a church or from a school or from a particular group of people or some activity, or I mean, we belong to several organizations. So my friendships with them are kind of, there. And so, and like my students, that rapport that we had, that we developed through the years, it just seems weird to me to inject something into that's for all those years it hasn't been there, and then to suddenly lay this on them and say, and by the way, and I don't want to do that to the relationships with my students either, because what we have between us is special, and I don't want distractors for that, especially since most of them were special needs and stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't really I don't want you to know this. It's just like it was irrelevant
Right.
to what we were doing or what our relationship was. My dearest friends, of course, they know. Many of my friends were there when it was happening. So, I mean, I still have really old friends too. So I still have a lot of friends who were there when it happened, friends that even knew my parents before they died at a young age. So I still have those friends. And then I have newer friends that I love dearly, that I have shared it with when it's started kind of blowing up. But there's still a lot of people who do not know, mostly do not know. I mean, there's very few people. If you think of all the people I know, very few people know. In my family, the people that were there at the time, they know. The others don't, for the most part. So it's just kind of weird.
It is. But at the same time, it's good because, that the way you kind of explain that is, for me, especially now knowing I didn't know or didn't remember you telling me before that a lot of the students that you had were special needs. So to me, that makes it even more special that you had this quote unquote claim to fame, and it didn't matter because their needs were what was the task at hand. And, it's, again, very, very refreshing, very refreshing. I don't know that I could have not kind of blurted it out on like my day of retirement, but like, thank you all. It's been a great 20 years. By the way, I was Michael Myers' first victim. I'm out, and kind of sashayed out, I don't know. I may have had to do something a little kooky like that, but again, the dedication that you had to those students, to realize that as cool as they might think that is, it's really irrelevant to what we're trying to accomplish in the classroom. So I commend you for that as well. So I guess that kind of leads into what you have coming up next. I know you said you just finished the cameo for the film well, not just finished, but you've already completed the cameo for the film in Hungary. And I think you said you had at least 2 more projects on the horizon.
I do. I'm providing this COVID thing behaves itself. I should be heading to UK in October, where I will attend For the Love of Horror convention. And then somewhere in that time frame, I should be shooting a film that is working title Gym, as in Gymnasium Creeps. And I have I can't announce who she is, but there's an actress from that area that's well known and that I'm excited to work with. And I also have a fairly good role in it. It's not just it's more than a cameo, so that's nice.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to that. It is also a horror film. And then, let's see, that one is by Great Northern Productions. They did another film called Pumpkins that you can look at on Amazon that I enjoyed. So that's one. Then I'm doing The Executioner, which will be shot in Florida either later this year or early next year. And in that one, I obviously lose my head.
Right.
So, but it's not instant. No, it's not as quick as in Halloween. I have a better part, so that's good.
Yes.
And that head is going to be mine when we're done. That's my keepsake.
Oh yeah, you got to keep your own head.
Yes.
You're going to tell me I can't take my head?
So
home
I'm
with
excited
me.
about that one too. Right.
So that's cool.
There's a young horror fan named Stevie, Horror Stevie. He's on Facebook and all those all the time. He goes to a lot of the cons. He's always dressed up. He's 8 years old, and he's taking pictures with everybody. He's only seen in different costumes, but he's also in it. So that's going to be
very cool. That's awesome. Was that a contest, or did they just kind of contact him and say, look, we want you in the film?
No, it wasn't a contest. He's got like 11,000 followers, this kid. So
wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who enjoy watching his cosplay and enjoy seeing him at conventions and stuff. So yeah, no, he was selected because he's popular, I'm sure, and because he'd love to be in it as well. And I actually got to meet him briefly at Chicago, so that was fun. Very cute.
I'm jealous. Wow, 11,000. Damn.
So, and there are some other films that could be happening. We're just not ready to. They're not ready to pin down yet.
Gotcha. Okay. This past weekend, we had an event Saturday. First, we went up to the movie theater, and we screened a movie called 100 Acres of Hell, and it was co-written, co-produced, co-directed, and co-starring a friend of ours named Gene Snitsky, who used to be a professional wrestler. Big, massive guy, big beard, everything, just massive individual. And so Jim and I and my oldest daughter went and did that. And then after the film, he came back to the house for a paranormal investigation. But what really made me happy about his film was, again, it was all independent, completely independent, but there was a swerve at the end. And I like to think that I can watch a horror movie and I can tell you at the end what's going to happen. And part of it I got right, but the swerve at the very end, I was literally like, I didn't see that coming, but it's genius. And I went up to him at the end, and he just kind of looked at me, was like, didn't see that. I was like, absolutely not. So it was a really good movie. And Jim had made the comment that there's a lot of these $10, $15, $100 million blockbusters coming out now that were not going to be as good as this film was. It really worked it well, especially, again, for an independent film like that. But
cool.
I know that he's thinking of making more. So I was like, if you ever need a killer, I'm your guy. You know, I've always wanted to play the killer. Always wanted to play. I've always rooted for the bad guy. And it was wrestling I watched when I was young. I rooted for the bad guys, and I've just always, they seem more interesting to me. I don't know. Is that something that you would relish? Being the one
Being the
behind it?
killer?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have a character called Evil Judith. I don't know if you've seen her in any of my photo shoot stuff, but it's where I have on the jumpsuit like Michael, and I do that. Yeah. There's one of me standing on the doorstep of the Myers house, and I've got the knife, and I'm coming out the door, and I've just got that look. So that's my Evil Judith. I'd love to be her sometime.
Here we go. Look, this is what my viewers are saying. Can't deny it. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that was not true. What have you ever had an idea for a film and said, you know what, that, I obviously, you're so busy, I don't have time to write it, I don't have time to come up with all the stuff that goes into making the film, but just had an idea that you knew would work?
Actually, I think my life has been really interesting. It has been, I had a mother with mental illness. I had a sister that was adopted out, and then we found her again later. There have been so many things in my life, losing my parents young. I think that my life would be an interesting story that I might write someday, because it's had so many different pieces and parts and chapters that are really pretty unusual for most people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you're going from one extreme to the other every 10 minutes, it seems. Yes, I could see where that would work. Absolutely. Huh.
yeah, there were a lot of scary times in my life, a lot of happy times, it's been all over the place.
But, I mean, looking back, all of them have been a small piece of what has become you now, and I think that you would agree that you enjoy where you're at now, and you enjoy what's going on now, and you're enjoying, just being Sandy Johnson.
Yeah, that's true. I absolutely believe that everything that happens in your life makes you who you are. Every part of you came from something. Every belief you hold came from something earlier in life that happened to you, or somebody taught you that, or whatever. So I absolutely believe that. I don't have regrets. It's just that it's just been a wild ride. I don't know how else to put it.
Right.
But yes, it makes you who you are.
Absolutely. Are there any actors or actresses specifically that you'd like to work with?
Good question. Who would I like to work with? I'd really like to work, I can't think of a particular one really, but I'd really like to work with some of the classics, from that are older now.
Right.
The guy from Driving Miss Daisy, or, some of the ones that have just been around forever. Yeah, they're just so good. I would love to have an opportunity to work with somebody like that. That it just comes so easy to them, and they're so good.
I honestly think you would be good opposite Jack Nicholson in a psychological thriller. I really do.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I would put him in that category.
I mean,
He's
he's done
fabulous.
such
Shining's one of my favorites.
yeah, he's done such great films in with such a range from The Shining, where you absolutely believe this guy is bonkers, to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where he literally was, and then throw in
Right.
some of his early films like The Terror, um, and then next thing you know, he's the Joker in Batman, and then just a lot of these movies, as well as The Departed, where he's a gangster. I mean, he's just done so many different classes of movies, and most of them have just been fantastic. And it's hard to believe that there's people out there who would say, "Nah, he was terrible in that film." Like, what are you watching? It's Jack Nicholson. I mean, come on,
Yeah, he's fabulous.
Now, so let me see. That was in the 70s. So you were still right around. Was it 70s, late 70s, early 80s when The Shining came out? So you were still right around Halloween age when that came out. Have you ever had a chance to visit that hotel?
No, I'd love to though.
Yeah, that's the Stanley out in Colorado. Again, reading up on these movies as I do, because, I don't have a whole lot else to do besides work and kids. But if I'm not mistaken, Stephen King was staying there, and it was either a nightmare he had or an actual experience he had while was there that inspired him to write The Shining about that place. And
Wow.
it's so weird. Like when I see Where Are They Now, and I see that little boy, and he's like all grown up, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe, look how old this guy is now. I feel even older, the little twin. Who, if I'm not, did you say that they have your same agent, correct?
Yes. Yeah, they've been at one or two of the shows that I've been at. Unfortunately, we have both been so busy, I never even got to see them.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, in fact, there was a lady and a man at Chicago that were dressed up as the twins, the two of them.
Wow, people
And
were
it
dressed and
was so
everything.
funny. I mean, that was hysterical. Yeah, the two of them were dressed up as the twins. And so I pointed him out to my agent, and he goes over and he says, "Oh my God, I got to get their picture." He goes and he takes her picture, and he says, "Okay, if I send this to the twins, I'm their manager." And the lady goes, "If you do, I'll pee my pants." It was so funny. So he did, and I guess they responded it. They thought it was hysterical.
That is hysterical. Wow. What do you got coming up within the next year or so as far as the cons go? Are there any big ones coming up?
I do. I have Cincinnati, Ohio Horror Hound, which is like the second week in, I think, September.
Okay.
So that should be a really big one. Maybe one of the biggest ones I've been to. And then in October is For the Love of Horror, which will be my first international con. And then I'm pretty sure I'll be somewhere Halloween. I don't know where yet, but
I think so,
my
yeah.
guess is I'll be there.
Now I knew there used to be one.
But
There
anyway,
used to be one in Maryland. I don't know if they still do it or not. I'm gonna have to look that up.
oh, there's so
Hmm.
many. Last year I was at the Mahoney Drive-In in Pennsylvania, and in fact, Savini was there. He was also there, but yeah, it was great. We had a good time. So I will probably have something there, and then in early first of the year they'll start booking again for next year, because I had several cons last year that I was booked for that didn't make. So I'm thinking, and they didn't go this year. So I'm thinking next year they'll probably pick me up again, hopefully.
Right.
So there,
I know.
that's Monsterpalooza in California.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one too. I know that the weekend after we have the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash in Gettysburg, the weekend after at the same location they have the Creature Feature weekend. And I took my kids to that last year, and we got to meet Alex Vincent, who played the little boy from the Child's Play films, and some of the other people that were there. We got a picture with Corey Feldman, who was there from, Lost Boys and, of course, Friday the 13th Part 4. And so that was a really nice one, too. So that'll be, let's see, that's the 20th through there. So it would be the 27th, 28th, and 29th. So it's like the last weekend in August that'll be in Gettysburg. Now, I mean, I'm guessing as many as you do, you really don't have a preference to which ones, as far as this one's your favorite or this one, because, just having talked to you for tonight and at the house in Waynesboro, it's small or big, doesn't matter to you. It's all about getting to interact with the fans.
Right. I love some of the smaller ones because I do have more time to visit.
Right.
And actually visit with the vendors too. At the big shows, not so much. I mean, I try and take time with them in line as much as I can, because they're all important to me. So when they come up, they've waited in line, I want to take a minute to visit with them for sure. But
Right.
it's more difficult when there's, a lot of people in line. But yeah, they're all fun. They've all been great in different ways. So speaking of that, we had the best time at the 1912 Hoover House. What a place that is. I mean, we loved it. So I know we're going to want to come back at some point. But Danny, if I can make his tablet come up, I'm going to try. He had that deal with his Fitbit. Remember that story? He was upstairs and he went downstairs to breakfast. And when he came back upstairs, his Fitbit said that he had walked 77 miles. So we're assuming that someone that a ghost in that house had a sense of humor, because he didn't walk 77 miles to breakfast.
No. Oh, well, wow. So you actually had an experience there. That's great.
It says 77 on here. He walked the other two the rest of the day. Oh, he walked the other two the rest of the day. It was 75 miles. Anyway, I don't know if I can make this come up where you can see it, but can you see that?
Yes, we can.
See the 75 of those miles he got by going downstairs in the Hoover house to breakfast.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. You actually had a little bit of experience there. I mean, we didn't really talk about it much this evening, but is that something you found?
You can't make Fitbit do that.
No. Obviously we haven't really dove into it much this evening, but I mean, I got to ask, is that something that you notice, especially being in the horror field? You've gone to places that have had history, like our house. Do you notice these things happening, or and the story you told me about your friend when you were supposed to go back to Texas to visit, that was fascinating. And I don't scare easy. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. That gave me goosebumps. So, I mean, is that something that I don't want to say you're into, but is that something you notice doing these cons? That people have stories like this, or that you have experiences like this?
Right. I haven't really had a lot of experiences like that. I would say that's that was definitely the biggest one in my life, no doubt. I certainly have heard a lot of people talk about it, and I certainly believe that it happens because it happened to me. But I wouldn't
Right.
say I've had a lot of things. I mean, I was at a seance once in my own house, so I know it wasn't rigged or anything. And there was knocking coming out of the wall behind the fireplace. That was interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Especially when you're in a
um,
location is
but
not a
not,
setup.
yes, it was my own house. So, and there really wasn't anything on the other side of that wall except my bedroom. And I know no one was in there because we were all sitting there together. But
Right.
I wouldn't say I've really experienced that kind of stuff very much. No.
So would you say you were slightly, I wouldn't say alarmed, but you were uh, surprised when you saw his Fitbit that morning?
Yes. I thought, boy, if only it would work that way though, so like the fat would come off like you had actually walked
Right?
75,000 miles.
I
I mean,
know.
75 miles, and that'd be really
That would be great. Exercise without having exercise, man. If you could patent that, good Lord. The money to be made off of that.
good.
Um,
Yes.
and I know one of the things you had said to me was that you would love to work with John again, John Carpenter again. Um, is he still active as far as um, anything, production or anything, or is he just kind of taking it as it goes and relaxing and just being John Carpenter?
No, I think he's been working on the Halloween films. He has helped with those. Whether or
Okay.
not he's going to do anything on his own again, I'm not sure because he is getting older. But he has definitely had input into the later Halloween films.
Okay. But if you could talk him into doing another film, you wouldn't be part of it, right?
Yeah, I'd love to be part of it because he's so good. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
I'd really love to be in a film that is that caliber. I mean, I just love the psychological horror. I wish somebody would write something that is not just a slasher or over the top gore and all that stuff, but was just truly a wonderful story. Just a wonderful thriller that was creative and
Okay,
different,
well,
unique. That
I gave you one with the Event Horizon. I'll give you two more. One of them is John's. The Prince of what's it called? Prince of Darkness, which was John Carpenter's film. And then another one that's called In the Mouth of Madness. And that was excellent. And that also has Sam Neill, and it is fantastic. I mean, I could tell you all about it, but I don't
let
want
me
to
write
ruin it
this
for
down.
you. Okay.
Okay, the Prince of Darkness,
Yep, John Carpenter. And
the
then
Mount.
in the Mouth of Madness.
And then what was the third one? The one that you just saw?
Oh, the Event Horizon.
Yeah.
And that one's kind of the blend of
Yeah, I'll
horror
have to.
sci-fi. But the In the Mouth of Madness, um, especially with your love of the psychological, that is really going to throw you for a loop. It's really going to trip you out because, I mean, you're thinking the whole time you're watching, and the minute your brain goes towards what you're thinking about, what did I just see? What did I just see? And it's you got to double focus. It's very hard, but it's all so well that it's such a good film, such a good film. And then the Prince of
Wow.
Darkness, like I said, is John's, but it's got Donald Pleasance in it. And there used to be a show on TV years ago called Simon and Simon. There's two brothers that were like private detectives or something. One of those guys is in it. Alice Cooper actually makes a cameo in it. So kudos for
Cool.
that. So I think you'll really enjoy those.
Huh.
But I know I
Cool.
personally am grateful that that as terrible as it sounds, that you had your cancellation for this time so you could be a part of the show. It was so great to meet you, and I had a wonderful time. I'm glad you enjoyed the house, and thanks again for spending a little bit of time with us, talking about just whatever. It really was my honor.
I just want to tell you one more thing. You ask if I wanted to be a killer. If you go to my IMDb page and you look at my monologues, there's one there where I am a killer.
Ooh, I will have to check that out tomorrow because after the show, I'm going to bed because I have to get up early for work. But I will definitely check that out. So, I just started a new job this week, and yeah, it is. Wow, it is physically demanding, but that's good. I've been sitting around for too long anyway. So thank you so much for spending some time with us. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know I personally did. And I can't wait to see you come back and spend some time at the house.
We'll do it.
All right. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right. You too. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Anytime. Wow. And that was Sandy Johnson, the original victim from the Halloween series. For those of you who joined later, didn't know, she was in town a few weekends ago in Waynesboro for a horror convention, and she actually stayed at the Hoover House, and it was fantastic. Her and her husband, Dan, unbelievably nice people. Obviously, she just said they had a paranormal experience at the Hoover House, which is great. But really, really down to earth and really nice. And I was just so glad she had some spare time to come in and spend with us. And I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I know it's about 10 minutes early. I'm going to say a few more things, and then I'm going to cut out a little bit early just because I got to get up early for work tomorrow now. So I don't think we have anything scheduled for this weekend. But we have, 15 days now? 15 days until the bash. Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. Here, let me go ahead and do this real quick. Bam. There it is. Join all of us from WLFE-DB at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, August 20th, 21st, and 22nd at the Wyndham in Gettysburg. I think it's $10 for the entire weekend. It's going to be so big and so much better. Not that they were bad before, but with us having to cancel last year, and I say us like I have anything to do with it, but Pam and Steve, Barry, with them having to cancel last year's because of the Rona. God damn Rona. This year's going to be bigger and better, and everybody is chomping at the bit. Everybody that I know that's going to be there is just ready. We want to go right now. So if you're going to be in the area, somewhere in and around Gettysburg, stop on by. I think you'll really enjoy it. There's food trucks, there's music, there's paranormal teams, there's celebrities, there's everything. I'm going to be there. So that in and of itself should draw one person, me. Make your plans. If you're coming for the weekend, I think you might still be able to get a room at the Wyndham through their link, which will discount the room. It's just going to be a great time. Oh, there's going to be, I almost forgot, a mobile cigar lounge, which a friend of ours has created, and it's going to be in the back parking lot. Friday night, there's going to be the bash at the bash, and it's kind of like a party / get together / hangout. That ought to be fantastic. So, yeah, it's all going for great causes. You have Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors, and you have Heroes for Hire. West Virginia Batman's going to be there. So you'll have the Batmobile, you'll have Blackout. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Ecto-1's going to be there again this year, the Ghostbusters. And, we'll have the tribute car there from Pam and Steve Barry. And speaking of which, Steve has got another one in the works. It's a 911 tribute Mustang. Check that out on Facebook. It looks awesome. Key is such a great airbrush artist. His work is impeccable. So check that out and keep up with updates on Facebook with the 911 tribute Mustang. Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. I had a great time talking with Sandy. I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you same day, same time next week. Have a good evening, everybody.